Super Rugby AU round number 6. Is it 6? I think so. We're back to the start anyways. The fixtures that were in the opening round, we are redoing these fixtures. Home and away has shifted. Brumbies, Force and Waratahs, Reds. We'll go through the teams, some of the stats, the predictions, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on how these games might be going to go. The first one, Brumbies, Force. These guys played in round 1, like I mentioned. It was 27-11 to the Brumbies, which was maybe a pretty decent result for the Force, having just assembled this squad of guys a bit later in the piece than everybody else. And the Brumbies being the reigning champions. And in the scheme of things, wasn't too bad a result. But that being said, the Force are still just the one win from 4 attempts. They've beaten the Waratahs, which seems to be what everybody's doing at the minute. The Brumbies have recently dropped that game to the Reds, but the Reds are the ones who are flying high. So Brumbies definitely go into this one's a favourite coming off the bye and looking to bounce back after, as I said, a pretty disappointing result. The propping situation still seems a bit hairy. They've got Harry Lloyd, Folau Fainga and James Slipper as their front row, so it's good to have Slipper back because, their propping stocks, as I said, are looking pretty depleted. Swain and Neville's a pretty useful second row, kind of stock standard, what we're used to seeing from the Brumbies. Valtini, Jerome Brown and Pete Samu. Of the three guys, I think Jerome Brown's probably the one who could use a big game. Like Valtini's had a few big games, Samu's had some excellent games, but Jerome Brown really needs to make an impact on the side. I think he's been a little bit in and out of the side. Like if Kusak's fit, I think they've tended to play him. But good chance for him to prove himself. Nick White and Noah Lolesio are the 9-10 combo. They've been very good this season. Them and Tate McDermott plus James O'Connor is kind of the form 9-10 combos and the competition that Dave Rennie will certainly be keeping his eyes on. Simone Ikitau, the midfield, also been very good. Simone's had a good mixture of distributing, taking the ball to the line, putting kicks through. Like he's got a real balanced game, which is pleasing to see. Mac Hansen, Andy Muirhead and Tom Banks is a very attacking looking back three. They've got a few changes on the bench. James Tucker, Rory Scott, Sefo Kotai and Fred Kauhea. A few names I'm really not familiar with at all. They've still got Ryan Lonergan, Lockie Lonergan. I don't think Ryan will be called upon at the last minute to make a difference, but you never know. No CO, no Kusak for this one. For the Force, now their front row would have been under a heap of pressure last week against the Reds. Robertson, Kai, Tu'u and Holmes is the front row. So they may even be looking at this one. I know Slipper's back, but they may be looking at this one where they can go and put the Brumbies under a bit of pressure. Based on what we saw in the game against the Reds with the Brumbies, they were under a bit of pressure at scrum time, and the Force were able to hold their own and sometimes put the Reds under a bit of pressure. So you never know. It might be an area like the Brumbies maul is still going to be good, but maybe scrum time is a weakness until they get their full propping stocks back in the likes of Sio Alaalatoa. Thrush and Timani are the locks. Fergus Lee Warner, Koteka and Stunda are the back rows. So that'll be a good matchup. I think Koteka, in terms of number 7s who have been making an impact, he's been really good. Good work rate and likes to carry as well. So, Jerome Brown's going to have to step up to that level that Kane has been setting. Both the number 6s have had pretty good seasons thus far. Kubeli and McIntyre 19 combo, that seems to be the preferred unit for the Force going forward, and I'm happy with that because they've been excellent. I know McIntyre's been a little bit criticised for some of his distribution, but his goal kicking was pretty on form last week. They do have John O'Lance back on the bench in case anything goes wrong, but I can't imagine McIntyre playing anything less than kind of 65-70 minutes. Tefu and Kurandrani is the midfield. I'm still waiting for Tavita, who was better last week, to have a real barnstorming run. It's not quite been there. Braki's left wing, Ralston's right wing, and McGregor comes in at fullback. I think Carney's got an injury. Likewise, Kahui is unavailable this week as well. Madrano's on the bench. They've got Jordan Olowafila, who's come over from, I think, Leicester. I know he's on loan from one of the Premiership clubs, so it'd be good to see him get a crack as well. Macaulay's on the bench. Pryor and Steer, the usual kind of suspects. In terms of try scoring, I think it's 20-5. The Brumbies have scored 20 tries this competition to the Force's 5. So the Brumbies attack should be the dominant one between the two sides. That being said, the Force have had like 200 more carries, but their like average meters per carry is a lot lower. So if they can get a bit of go forward ball, and it's a loud bird. Be interesting to see if that's picked up on the microphone. If they can get some go forward ball, which they have been getting better at, then they could be a bit of a dangerous one for the Brumbies. They had like 2.7 meters per carry to the Brumbies 3.9, so it's a big difference. Clean breaks is 36 to 20, so the Brumbies with almost double. Bloody hell, those birds are going bananas. But yeah, the Force, as I said, have been getting better kind of week by week as the side tends to gel a bit. The bookies have got the Brumbies by 14. The rugby forecast got the Brumbies by 21. So either way, the Force go to this one as big-time underdogs. Speaking of underdogs, the Waratahs are about as big underdogs as it gets in this game. They are none from 4 with a pretty horrendous points difference up against the red side. I know these guys are traditional rivals and the Waratahs should be able to lift, but the Reds have been looking unstoppable at the moment. Like, not invincible, but man, they've been looking bloody good. They're pretty much good all around the park. They're a good offloading side. They got good set piece, good defense. Like, I don't know what else you could want from these guys. Very, very dangerous side. Interestingly, when you look at the Waratahs' numbers, there's nothing that screams like terrible. So sometimes it's a bit of a false picture when you look at the stats, but anyway, they'll need to be better. They've got a front row of Harry Johnson, Holmes, Porecki and Faulkner. They'll be under pressure, but I did think their scrum was a bit better last week. Yeah, but when I look at their scrum percentage, it's like 75%, so not very good numbers when the Reds are at 100. Wykes and Caird are the second row, so Wykes actually gets his chance to start. Sinclair, Tizano, and Harris are the back row. Dempsey is injured, so unfortunate, seeing as he had a pretty good shift last week and he did play a full 80. Grant and Harrison, 9-10. Harrison's been kicking them goals when he's got chances, but he hasn't had all that many chances on a pack going backwards. Parise is back from his suspension. That's good news. And Foketi is outside him. So Parise could use a good game and hopefully no ill discipline. Ram, Newsom, and Maddox are the back 3. They can certainly attack if they get some ball. It'll be defense also that needs to be well tested. Can you hear those birds? Bell is back on the bench, which is good news. Max Douglas comes in. Nawani Dewase is on the bench. Horton is there, so it's still looking like a long day at the office. For the Reds, Xander, Paenga, Amosa, and Tupou is the front row. As I mentioned, they'll be looking to turn the screws on the Tars pack. Ryan Smith comes into the second row, and Salakai Loto is alongside him. So that's an interesting shift up. Usually it's been Angus Blythe, but he's not in the 23. I didn't read that he's injured, but he may be. Scott Young McCrate made 1 million tackles last week, so if the Tars do get Cibola to get through those guys first. And interestingly, I've only seen him play lock, but Siru Udu has been named at number 8. So Harry Wilson drops to the bench. Brad Thorne did mention that he's been having a cracking start to the season, so gives him a crack at number 8. Be interesting to see. Extra line-out option as one. Hell of a ball carrier. McDermott and Jock, 9-10 combo. McDermott could cause some havoc. I'm just worried for the Tars, man. I hope they put in a shift that we've been waiting to see. Paisami and Pataya, maybe the best midfield in Super Rugby AU at the moment as well. Pataya has looked good since he's come in from the wing. He creates a lot of opportunities, and Paisami has got a hell of a work rate. He's been just looking to be everywhere. I think one of the commentators said, like, hunter by name, hunter by nature, when he was looking to make big tackles on people. Dalguna's back, he's on the left wing. Vunivalu's starting to hit his straps as well on the right wing. And Jock Campbell's quietly there at fullback, but also needs to be watched because he's a danger man as well. Stewart's on the bench. Harry Wilson, like I mentioned. Hegarty, Murphy. So, yeah, pretty familiar. Last time they played in round 1, it was 41 points to 7, albeit in Brisbane. But it wouldn't be surprising to see a scoreline along those lines. Number of tries, these teams have scored 15 to 5. So, yeah, the Reds attack has been a lot more effective. The bookies have got the Reds by 16, and the forecast algorithm, Rugby Forecast, has got the Reds by 10. So that may be conservative, but we will wait and see. It looks on paper to be a hard night at the office. The Force game is on. Force Brumbies on Friday. The Waratahs Reds is on Saturday. So Yeah, let's hope for some good rugby from Super Rugby AU. The competition has not disappointed thus far. It's been very entertaining. Let's hope for more of the same. What do you guys reckon? Can you see the Force or the Waratahs getting up despite being pretty heavy underdogs for this one? Or do you foresee two pretty one-sided matches? You guys let me know your thoughts, and I'll talk to you again soon. See you later.